somehow.
Oh yes, my Straight Talk family, whenever you hear that theme song, you know it's that time when I should welcome you to another edition of Straight Talk, your program that's heard every Monday and Thursday night. And we are accessible via social media, in particular YouTube and Facebook. And it's that time when I must say good night to St. Kitts and Nevis, good night to the entire Caribbean. And I must say greetings as well to the world, because we are on the World Wide Web, certainly, and we can reach and touch our Kittitian and Nevian diaspora in particular, but all who are connected, and we reach you all over the world. We reach you in Africa, we reach you in Europe, we do reach you in Asia, and we do reach you as well all over North America. So I can say good morning, in particular to those folks in the United Kingdom and Europe who sometimes miss their sleep just to be in touch with Straight Talk, just to ensure that we get the unvarnished truth and facts that come out from their beloved country, St. Kitts and Nevis. We can say good afternoon as well, because in some parts of the world it's afternoon. And certainly in North America and other parts of the world, we will say good night. And welcome to another edition of Straight Talk. And thanks for those who have been spreading the word, spreading the link, getting more people connected. And each time we have our first timers, so I bid the first timers a very pleasant night, and morning, and or afternoon, whichever is applicable. And welcome to your edition of, your first edition or episode of Straight Talk. which is a program on which we try to raise the level of national consciousness. We try to raise the level of national discourse by alerting our people to their rights, to their responsibilities, and certainly to their obligation. My name is Ian Patches Libert, and I give Almighty God thanks for blessing me with yet another opportunity to join you in conversation, my Straight Talk family, on yet another occasion. And as your host, I will always reassure you that in me you will find an untiring advocate of truthfulness. In me you'll find frank honesty, not watered down in any way, whether by omission or exaggeration, to make it more interesting. I consider it my duty to always present the unvarnished truth about the country's performance. At times I know it's hard to absorb because sometimes it's bleak, depressing. But be informed as well that Straight Talk is a participative program. And by that I mean we include your calls and your emails if you are so minded to call. The numbers are 663-6672. And those numbers, that local number is accessible by any phone. Of course, if you're not in St. Kitts, then you require the area code of 869. And we have that US number 646-829-6672. And I'd like to inform you right away. I would like to inform you right away that that's my only number that's right now giving me access via WhatsApp. So wherever you are in the world, you can access 646-829-6672 via WhatsApp or directly calling the number. And I always facilitate the many of you who, I like to say, always want the cloak of anonymity, in that you don't want to be heard for whatever reason. So you don't pick up the telephone, but you hide behind the keyboard. But we give you access by our email platform, which is straighttalkpatches@gmail.com. STRAIGTTALKPATCHES@gmail.com. And how could I forget? Or before I even start, I should really extend condolences to the Maynard family. You understand that Captain Errol Maynard has gone to the great beyond, and we extend profound condolences to his family, his wife in particular, Lovina Maynard, and their children. And we trust that you will remain strong, understanding that death is a process. You know, when people die, we give them all sorts of stories, all sorts of condolences we extend. But the fact is, who feels it knows it, as Jimmy Cliff would say. And I've always liked to pass on the comforting words that someone passed on to me when someone very close to me died. They enlightened me that death is just a process. And as the 13th comes up, Kenny's Garage would be full of action for Jordan Williams' birthday bash. This is a community announcement. And Jordan Williams' birthday bash will be at Kenny's Garage on 2731 Golden Avenue in the Bronx, area code 10469. That's the Bronx in New York. There are lots of entertainment. Mr. Bagnell, Smiley, up front band, DJ Fire, Pongwa, and DJ Menti. And all you need to get you in is a small donation at the door. $5, $20, $100, whatever. It says a small donation to get you in. In terms of our observations in review, this time is when we highlight the issues of the day. We do some reflection. We may ask a few questions in terms of what was accomplished, how has it helped others, what has changed since, what can be expected next, also what new we have learned as a people. And I promise I won't tarry too long tonight, because I want to also inform you pretty early that this coming Monday is Labor Day in St. Kitts. I'm not going to jam. I'm not that kind of individual. Now, we made a lot of jam sessions in my days in the GI Brass, but Monday is for the workers. We must promote the achievements of the workers, and we raise our voices for the workers. But some people use it as a political promotion, and to get people with them, they then have bands and jamming, and the young people like to gyrate, or we people generally like to gyrate and have fun. But let's have fun, but let's don't lose sight of the workers or the plight of the workers. My first observation, and perhaps it may be my only observation, but before that, I have for the past two nights, I think, had an oversight, serious oversight, because about 2 Saturdays ago, or was it the last Saturday? 2 Saturdays ago, I went to Riches. I went to Riches of the Earth upon invitation by my good friend Sidney Coker, and his wife Victoria. I intended to spend about an hour at the farm, but listen, it was so refreshing. It opened my eyes to see all the fruit trees. I did not eat a custard apple in years, and I got my first custard apple, and the organic drinks. Sydney owes me some organic drinks. But Riches of the Earth, that farm over there in Harpetry on Harry Phipps Estate, I got the history of Harry Phipps Estate, and I must extend kudos to Sydney for really standing firm for his inheritance. But I'll get back there someday, sooner rather than later. My first observation, though, it's related to the CARICOM Crime Symposium, which brought some very interesting perspectives on this development issue. Yes, crime is a development issue. And the CARICOM Crime Symposium, some days ago, just over a week ago, brought some very interesting perspectives on this development issue within our region. There's a very thought-provoking editorial I came across in the Trinidad Express News Journal. And I must say it was really refreshing to read the views that surely did not emanate from, it did not come from a palace guard. Because in the media now we find not journalists, not reporters, we find palace guards, I call them, respectfully. But this, or the views, obviously came from someone who was willing and who shone a bright light on the role of the fourth estate, that is, the media. And excerpts from this editorial read, and I quote, "Denial and a refusal to own up to their failures are standard behaviors among politicians in office." And no doubt referring to this and other comments from a well-known, well-liked Prime Minister, Mia Mottley, from Barbados.
It's the only pillar that has come in the last 20 years to the revised Treaty of Chaguaramas, is security. But we have not followed through on the functional day-to-day cooperation that can make the difference there. And on the matter of law and order, the judges, we need to start rotating the use of judges and magistrates in the region to ensure that there is not the familiarity with counsel and other circumstances and the things that people take for granted.
Very interesting perspective, promoting the need to rotate the judges and magistrates throughout the region. I interpret that as sending them from one country to another country on a regular basis to ensure there's no familiarity, and you know what familiarity, beg your pardon, I'm stumping my tongue here. It breeds lots of things. So suggesting that the judges and magistrates be rotated. But the editorial continued, and I quote one more time, "It was therefore no surprise that several politicians at this week's CARICOM Crime Symposium blamed everyone but themselves for spiraling crime. There were scapegoats aplenty, beginning with parents and including judges, the criminal law system, the youth, the media, the music, the opposition, and the United States, among others." Yes, they blame the United States, where they claim that the guns are manufactured. But listening to the attack on judges, continues the editorial, one would think judges make laws and are responsible for the entire apparatus of the criminal justice system, and not merely for presiding over trials to determine innocence or guilt in line with due process. And my Straight Talk family, this brings me home to a very troubling issue in our beloved Federation. And ZIZ reported this case concerning a gun and ammunition and the subsequent prosecution of an ex-police officer and a young lady on April the 17th, 2023. And I found it very interesting. The ZIZ television report went like this from Carla Berridge.
Cillian Phipps and Tariq Jones have been convicted for the possession of firearm and possession of ammunition on April 17, 2023. Both have been sentenced to serve 3 years in His Majesty's prison on each charge, with their sentences set to run concurrently. The conviction stems from a gun find in October 2021. During a security check at the entrance of Club Dubai, a night spot in Bastille on October 22nd, a Beretta PX4 Storm pistol and several rounds of 9mm ammunition were found in Phipps's bag. She was taken into police custody along with Jones. Phipps was charged on October 26th and Jones was charged on October 28th, as he was a police officer at the time, and the matter was referred to the Director of Public Prosecutions for advice. They were both remanded to prison.
Straight talk, my family has since learned about the cherry picking, I call it, the cherry picking of the law, one more time in St. Kitts and Nevis. As 1 week later, believe it or not, the acting director of public prosecution has decided to discontinue a matter in Nevis. And that matter involved a well-known Nevisian who early in the year, this year of our Lord 2023, was arrested by a member of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, was charged, taken to court, the magistrate's court, and was placed on remand at Her Majesty's prison. Straight Talk has learned that his lawyer appealed to the Eastern Caribbean High Court for bail, which was denied by the learned judge. But questions must now be asked. And on behalf of the country, our entire federation, we are asking the Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, when will a permanent director of public prosecution be appointed? We are also asking whether, as Prime Minister, he was briefed about the discontinuance of this matter, a serious matter, a serious transgression of the laws of St. Kitts and Nevis. Because Straight Talk has confirmed that the individual in Nevis was caught red-handed with the gun and ammunition. And mark you, while we are aware of the constitutional authority of the acting director of public prosecution, Greatest Gordon Hazel, her actions to discontinue such a serious matter has to be a hard slap in the face of the police force and all security forces in St. Kitts and Nevis at a time when the country is waging a war against this monster called murder, especially since 8 of the last 9 homicides in St. Kitts and Nevis for 2023 are gun-related. Did this gun have had anything to do with the murder in Nevis earlier this year? The only homicide thus far. But my Straight Talk family, this looks like a clear case of justice for some and not for all. So maybe the CARICOM heads should focus not only on judges, but on amending their constitutions and have commonality in all of our constitutions that give such unfettered power to directors of public prosecution. The Prime Minister, the Premier of Nevis, and the Commissioner of Police need to tell the Federation what they know about this serious matter and whether this had anything to do with the illegal weapons found in Macknight or anything to do with the 8 weapons that were missing. Was this one? If this was one, where are the other 7? My straight dog family, it's a serious matter. But there's a stench in that ex-police and his companion was sentenced to 3 years in prison for possession of a gun and ammunition. And 1 week later, the acting director of public prosecution discontinues this case in Nevis. And mark you, Section 65 of our Constitution, the St. Kitts and Nevis Constitution, speaks to the control of public prosecutions. And Section 65, subsection 2, states the director of public prosecutions shall have the power in any case in which he considers it desirable to do, amongst other things, to discontinue at any stage before judgment is delivered any such criminal proceedings instituted or undertaken by himself. In this case, it will be herself or any other person or authority. And why I said unfettered authority? Because in Section 65, subsection 6, it reads, and I quote, "In the exercise of the functions vested in him," and him would mean her as well, "in him by subsection 2 and by section 26 subsection 5 and 101 subsection 6, the director of public prosecutions shall not be subject to the direction of control of any other person or authority." So Mayor Motley spoke about rotation of judges. Then this occurrence in Nevis just this week Tuesday, with the discontinuance of this serious matter in Nevis, needs to be placed under the public focus. The Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Terence Joe, the Premier of Nevis, Mark Brantley, and the current Commissioner of Police, James Sutton, ought to tell the Federation what they know about this case and whether this had anything to do with the illegal weapons found in Macknight. And after sending or prosecuting one of your ex-officers, one of your kind, an ex-police, just last week and sentenced to 3 years in prison for possession of a gun and ammunition. And 1 week later, the acting director of public prosecutions, Ms. Gordon, discontinues a case where an individual was caught red-handed with a gun and ammunition, was charged, was arrested, first of all, charged by the police and remanded to prison by the magistrate, refused bail by the High Court judge, and now walks free. Equality under the law, just like the AG we spoke about. But equality under the law is under threat. My Straight Talk family, I'm not going to tarry much longer on any observations or any more observations in review. I know there are issues as relates to the airport expansion in Nevis as well. And all of a sudden now, former Minister Alexis Jeffords has got some sense into his head. And instead of threatening and demanding landowners and property owners around the Bants Amri International Airport to move, is now, we are told, negotiating their movement. And that's a good sign. Things change. The other issues we won't touch tonight. It relates to the passports. We've heard of St. Nevis and its passport in the highlights, in the news once again. Billionaires getting our passports. But what we want to know, Prime Minister Drew, is how many passports have been issued under our Citizen by Investment program. We don't want to know to whom. We may be interested in the nationalities, yes, but we just want to know the numbers, and in particular how many certificates of registration you have signed since assuming the office of Prime Minister. We understand you have signed almost 4,000 of those CORs. So we know at some day you'll have to stop hiding, because, as I said before, the information is provided to your ministry by the Canadian banknote on a monthly basis. The Canadian banknote manages our passports, produces, manufactures them, and manages them. So you must know Prime Minister Drew. And those are my observations in review for tonight. And I will hasten to embark upon my short thesis tonight, which I have entitled, and I'm almost certain that we are all familiar with that old but true saying, you never miss the water till the well runs dry. And that's the title of my short thesis tonight, because everywhere I go within the Federation, everyone is mumbling, some are grumbling, all about the performance and or the lack thereof by the current Labour administration, and in particular its leader, Dr. Drew. Inside and outside of the party, there's mumbling and grumbling about the inexperience of this leader. There is so much that we took for granted over the last 7 months, my Stray Dog family. Our health, our safety and security, and especially our social, physical, and societal well-being. We took certain things and certain people for granted and did not realize their importance and how much we needed them until they were not there anymore. Get rid of them was the popular chant before the elections. But believe it or not, get rid of them is still the chant 9 months after the 2022 elections. And you may ask yourselves why. And the answer is not blowing in the wind, as the song goes. The answer is simple, as old people would say, as my grandmother used to say. You never miss the water till the well runs dry, my Stray Dog family. The theme song for the past Labour campaign, and you know I like to talk the truth. In my view, the theme song for that campaign was spot on. Because I strongly believe that we had to get rid of Jonel. We had to get rid of Lindsay. And that snake from across the Narrows called Mark. I was sorry. I was surprised and somewhat sad that Sean got caught up with them. Sean was a good guy to me, who I watched up close in cabinet for 5 years. So I was surprised, mortally surprised, that he got convinced by the snake, with whom he never talked for the 5 years that I was there in cabinet. I am so sorry Sean got misled by others, because he was quietly preparing himself for the mantle of national leadership. And for a moment, I was somewhat sad that he did not achieve his aspiration or his goal to become the first Prime Minister from Sandy Point, as he publicly disclosed or declared. I remember he said this.
I have one more political goal to deliver on. One more political goal to deliver on, and that is to be not the next Prime Minister, but the first Prime Minister that Sandy Point has produced.
And that's why I'm sad, because he surely would have been plenty of times better than what we have today in Dr. Jew. But Team Unity, nonetheless, was a new beginning in the development of our beloved federation. Our country's social, infrastructural, and political development can all be measured in different ways. Physical factors such as the climate and human factors such as the economy and social discontent can influence how quickly or well a country develops. And Dr. Jew made such promises, like this one.
For a better economy and jobs, you chose the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. For better health care, housing and social protection, you chose the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. For better education, sports and entertainment, you chose the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. For a better environment and food security, you chose the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. For better government and governance, you chose the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. We campaigned on that platform. You listened. You examined us. You voted for us. We are ready to deliver on our promises. We are your humble and willing servants.
But that was then, my Straight Talk family. And that was the expectation of many. But they were all disappointed. They all seem to have what is called buyer's remorse. They call, as most people are expressing, a profound sense of regret after having voted for the Jew Labour administration. Whereas social sustainability and inclusion were the order of the day under Team Unity administration, which addressed the long-standing or long-lasting barriers to development under the previous Douglas Labour administration. During that period, Prime Minister Harris strengthened the focus on people who had in the past been excluded from economic and social opportunities, and increasing investment in inclusive growth. They continue to try to fool us that Team Unity did nothing, but there was social sustainability in an inclusive and resilient country where citizens had a voice, and the government always responded by expanding opportunities for everyone. Economic and environmental sustainability was critical for poverty reduction and shared prosperity. On the contrary, look at what Jew has done to the poor people in this country in the last 9 months, my Straight Talk family. Examine what he did with PAP, the Poverty Alleviation Program, which he promised to upgrade. He mandated all who were on PAP to re-register. Remember that?
I use this opportunity to indicate that all eligible existing recipients of the Poverty Alleviation Program PAP are mandated to reapply by completing the application form by December 16, 2022. Failure to do so would mean that your payment will cease effective December 31st, 2022. I wish to notify the general public that the mending of the PAP will commence from January 2023.
The mending or upgrade of the PAP was a process we finally learned of transitioning the program, and part of that transition included a condition whereby it has become a short-term cash transfer social assistance program, with the understanding that you will only benefit from the program for 6 months. After 6 months to 1 year, those who were re-registered on the program, on the PAP, are expected to graduate from the program. Do you believe that, my Straight Talk family? Graduate from the program.
Each successful applicant will be allowed to spend 6 months or a maximum of 1 year on the program based on needs. Conditions for graduation of the program will be identified and determined through the implementation of case management and tracking.
I asked myself when I heard of the graduation, and the PAP school. No doubt that Jeffrey is the dean. I wonder how long it took for him to graduate with this doctoral degree that he has and refers to himself as Dr. Jeffrey Hanley. And which school he went to. The PAP school, you have 6 months to 1 year. But that's for another time. Now, Jeffrey reported as well that there were 12,000 applicants at the close of the registration.
We had close to 1,200 applications, 12,000 applications for the PAP initiative. The Ministry of Social Development, the entire team is doing the verification process right now, checking with all of the agencies, including Social Security, making sure that the Social Security numbers are correct, the information that persons shared are accurate. We are hoping that we can restart by the end of this month after certain verification would have taken place, of course.
And my Straight Talk family understand that these are just applicants who managed to register within the time frame before December 31st, and not people who are really in dire need of assistance, as there are some who are not technologically savvy or able, can't use a computer or a smartphone to register online. But not only that, Jeffrey further stated that almost 9,000 people were eligible to receive PAP.
At the close of the application process on December 30th, 2022, over 11,000 applications were submitted through the online application portal. Of the total applications received from across St. Kitts and Nevis, 9,094 applications were fully completed and accepted for further review, verification, and processing. A further review of the completed applications revealed that 8,985 applicants were eligible based on the self-reported earnings.
My Straight Talk family, to date, just over 5,000, and I stand to be corrected, only 5,000, although nearly 9,000 were eligible, only 5,000 are being paid. Examine as well what Prime Minister Drew and his permanent secretary called Nahima Hazel did with the Alternative Lifestyle Program, known as the Peace Program. For the past 9 months, Drew is revamping that program too. People on step have been given the runaround since the Drew Labour administration got into office. You heard the cry of a poor lady on this very program, even on our last episode. And instead of finding a resolution, Jeffrey, in his pretty suit, tried to embarrass the poor lady at a Labour public meeting.
A voice note going around while I was overseas, and I decided that I will address it tonight. And the caller was alluding to having some disabled child and can't get no help for the child, and she can't get no walker. But comrades, listen to me tonight. I want the caller to call back in and tell the Federation which company or minister she was working for on the STEP program, and time sheet weeks after weeks come in with the senator. They better leave me alone. What nonsense they're talking. Comrades, don't be distracted. Leave it up to me.
And this is what we call the classic embodiment of power, ignorance and arrogance. For a young lady who all she asks for is a job. Give me back my job on step, she asks. She's not begging, she wants to work. My Straight Talk family, this is the minister charged with the responsibility of social development in our country. And Jeffrey, as a self-acclaimed community leader and former Boy Scout, was it Hancock's Boy Scout, Jeffrey? He ought to know that social development is about improving the well-being of every individual in society in order for them to attain their full potential. Jeffrey ought to know by now that the success of any society is linked to the well-being of each and every citizen. Social development means investing in people. It requires the removal of barriers so that all citizens can fulfill their dreams with confidence and dignity. It is about refusing to accept that people who live in poverty will always be poor. It is about helping people so they can move forward on their path to self-sufficiency. But the truth be told, we do find leaders in our small and developing countries who are prepared to place too much faith in the hired economists from the World Bank, the OECD, and the IMF, to name a few institutions. And they think that we are beholden to them, when in fact we are not. So we bask and we revel in their statistics and data with much alacrity to make reference to the same. We may fall for a statistic with a big name international institution attached to it, but fail to accept that it should get just as much scrutiny as any other statistic. Statistics and data have no allegiance to a higher power or to any country. So please, do not place too much faith in any data or any one statistic emanating from these institutions. My Straight Talk family.
Over the years, despite a number of bumps and hurdles, the Federation has steadily grown and developed, raising the standard of living for thousands of its people. World Bank statistics show that among the 15 Caribbean countries which make up the Caribbean community and common market, St. Kitts and Nevis has the second highest per capita income. At over US $18,000 per annum, it is second only to the Bahamas and classified in the high income bracket. It is also classified by the United Nations in its Human Development Report as having high human development.
How could St. Kitts, and we are applauding, when we who live here understand what's going on, we ask ourselves, a high income country, second only to the Bahamas in CARICOM, with a per capita income of 18,000 US per annum, that's almost $49,000 or $50,000 per year, over $4,000 per month. Not those who are responsible for ensuring the water is running, our roads are in good repair, ensure our electricity is up and running, ensure the public goods. Why are we, my Straight Dog family, why are we applauding this statistic or data that is compiled by using unsuitable, outdated, simplistic, gross national income measurements that unfairly lock out small island development states like ours? They lock us out from accessing the help that we need. Mark you, all countries are vulnerable, but all in different ways. On the front line of multiple world crises, including climate change and debt, the most vulnerable countries face chronic structural challenges that are becoming more interconnected and intense over time. They rely on external financing to help prepare and recover from these crises. For some, such as SIDS, response to disasters is more expensive for SIDS. Debt is more expensive to service. Infrastructure is more expensive. Overseas development assistance from partner countries cannot stretch so far. Most SIDS are not the poorest countries or poorest nations, but their costs are so much greater and accessing financing is more difficult. Their relative income makes them ineligible for the cheaper finance set aside for lowest income countries. And how can external financing be apportioned by international financial institutions like the World Bank? How? How their financing is apportioned? It does not take into account the vulnerability to these SIDS and these very crises. These small island nations have repeatedly said that traditional measures of development insufficiently capture their vulnerabilities. For example, gross national income per capita measures the income of a country, but that does not tell us how much it costs to handle threats like catastrophic sudden weather events or the cost of servicing old debts. Ask Roosevelt Skerritt when Erica dumped 33 inches of rain on Dominica. Ask Ralph Gonzalez when the volcano decided to erupt. Ask our neighbors there in Antigua, Gaston Brown, when Barbuda had its problem. And since gross national income is the primary measurement for the allocation of concessional financing for developing countries, it is the wrong tool for the job. A multidimensional vulnerability index that has the potential to ensure truly inclusive, sustainable development is what we should be promoting. Not gross national income per capita, no. Because of their vulnerability, it is often the SIDS who led the global conversation on the climate crisis and sustainable development. For 3 decades, SIDS have been leading calls for the formulation of a form of measurement that truly recognizes ecological and economic vulnerability. We spoke about the United Nations. The United Nations is presently working with SIDS on the development and implementation of a multi-dimensional vulnerability index, MVI. An MVI with a global buy-in, it is felt at the United Nations, will give us more data and a better understanding of the climate puzzle we are all scrambling to solve. But that's academics for now, my Straight Dog family, because the reality in St. Kitts and Nevis is the gap between the haves and the have-nots is widening. Social assistance under the Jew Labor Administration is dwindling. Public health is suddenly deteriorating. The cost of living is increasing. With the increasing cost of living and inflation, current wages are not enough for employees to live on comfortably. No jobs are being created, and no new money has been put into the economy. The failure of Dr. Drew to pass minimum wage and cost of living legislation as promised has meant real, tangible harm to Kittitian and Nevision families.
The St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party will recharge and revolutionize our local economy. We will increase the minimum wage to $500 per week and introduce price control legislation to help you keep more money in your pocket.
My straight dog family, he promised investors were waiting. You remember that big promise? Investors were waiting out there, he said.
It's quite interesting that after the elections, a number of investors came forward. And they said, Dr. Joe, we had been waiting to invest in St. Kitts and Nevis. And they said, why you didn't do it then? And they said they couldn't do it under the last administration. They wanted to work with an administration that they think would be a more prudent administration.
Did they give reasons for that?
Yeah, I think that they felt like they were under duress in certain circumstances. To be frank. And they think that there might have been too much corruption in the system. And many of them stayed away as a result of that. But now a number of them have come forward. But we have also sought new opportunities, which we will also use as a means to help to develop our country. So we are looking at that, so they will have more, foreign investment that would help to stir the economy. But not only that, we are getting ready to set up our small business ministry as well, which will give people the opportunity to own their small businesses, and we will be investing in that. And when people start their own businesses, we have to think about the creativity and innovativeness of our people. Those things will also contribute to stirring the economy. So,
small businesses have already been displaced. Yes, the mom and pop shops have been displaced by the Chinese. Chinese in Newtown, Chinese in Irish Town, Chinese in the village, Chinese in Old Road, Chinese in St. Paul's, Chinese in Cairn, Chinese all over St. Kitts and Nevis. But crime and violence are on the rise, under the Jew Labor Administration. From a low of 10 or 11 homicides in 2021, it has spiked to 17 homicides in the first 6 months of Dr. Drew's tenure as Prime Minister and Minister of National Security. 8 from August to December 2022, and 9 from January to April 2023. 8 of the last 9 homicides were sadly gun-related murders. Electricity costs continue to increase in step with the cost of fuel. There's a daily island-wide rationing of water. When have you ever heard of that? Small businesses are crying out for help. The unemployed are crying out for jobs. People have no money in their pockets. How is it under Timothy Harris everyone had money? How did he get to stimulate the economy so easily and with such regularity? Are some of the questions being asked daily. Nothing is going on in the country under Labour. Nothing a go on, as they say. A lady told me just today, beg your pardon, that she wished she could take back her ex. That's a familiar cry all over. And all I can say, my straight dog family, is you never miss the water till the well runs dry. That's my story tonight, and I am not going to change it. I'm going to open the lines. The lines were ringing before while I was making my presentation. The lines are open now. I'll do so in a few seconds. But I always like to implore you to respect others. And of course, to achieve that, you must first respect yourselves. Let us try to be fair to all concerned. Let us try to build goodwill and better friendships. Let us ensure that the things we say and or do will be beneficial to all concerned. And in saying and or doing those things, let us strive to build a kinder, gentler St. Kitts and Nevis. At 6 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour, I go to the lines and say, good night, caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good night, Brother Patches.
Yeah, good night, sir.
If I may allow, maybe allow.
You have a
To stand to me.
you have the equipment on, sir?
Let me turn my radio.
Please.
Yes, that's what I'm doing. I'm turning it down.
Thank you very much.
Hold a second. Bear with me. You have. Okay, let me read. If I may allow to stand for correction. Do you think the criminal activity with guns in St. Kitts is because of the government and to get the full blame in respect to Dr. Joe's administration? Going back into the previous administration, and just like this administration, government is responsible for certain things in respect to the weapons, in my view, that are in the country and yet to come into the country. It's a matter of weakness, loopholes, and other ways of these materials getting into the country that causing destruction. But on the other hand, I believe it is rivalry between two parties. And rivalry is a long time harm that was there before us. But back then, you could say, it used to be sticks, stones, fist fight, not much death. Plenty of death comes now because of guns. But I will not blame government that when the gun gets into the hands of two people have their rivalry discrepancy, that is their criminal activity. That is where their criminal mind comes into play. The government never teach anyone here in St. Kitts to go and commit a crime, to kill anyone, unless they have a hit on someone, like the mafia, legacy. So I cannot really condone with the fact that under whose administration, I'm not going to blame the administration for the criminal activity, only the weapons, because where are these weapons are coming from? It's in respect to the security. The security is breached, or the security is allow themselves to be breached. But anything one has leadership of, it's not going to be blamed on the actual criminals. It's going to blame on the leader. So leadership matters. The leadership has their work to do. The security organization in the Federation has their work to do. Okay? But I don't think they are sponsoring criminal activity in the country. That is only one I can elaborate on right now. I will yield to someone else. I stand for criticism and I stand for agreement.
Okay,
that is just one. I will yield, but I will come back again. Thank you for allowing me.
Thank you for your intervention, my Straight Talk family. And we go straight back to the lines. Caller, you live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller?
What happened in the name of our great African ancestors, especially Queen Nzinga and King Glove? Yeah, blessed evening, my beloved African. But how are you, the family?
Peaceful, my dear brother, and you and your family?
Good, man. Everything airy, beloved. Everything airy with us. But everything is not airy with our people in the Caribbean, beloved brother. Especially Leo Miga and Wally. No, beloved brother, let me just give you a little advice. Brother, don't ease up. And the mulatto boy, don't give him no slack whatsoever, brother Patches. No slack whatsoever. He owe you, he didn't appeal, and he must pay you and must pay you now. And you must leave no stone unturned. You get what is yours, beloved. What's yours. Don't give him no slack. Do not ease up on him. Because for the next way around, it'll be in fire and brimstone. Let me move on. Now, beloved, I agree with the great sister Mia Matley, beloved, and I agree with you too, because, brother, in the judiciary system in CARICOM, it's rotten to the core. It's like this old boy, me and she went to high school, or we were in class, and all of them scratch each other back. When it comes to poor people, brother, those are the ones who feel the fire and brimstone and the wrath of the quote-unquote laws. Beloved, when you have money, you could buy your way out and buy people, beloved. And these DDP should be ashamed of themselves, beloved. You want to tell me how can anybody in the right frame of mind set up a case like the one in Nevis come discontinue? Come on. That's why you see, brother, there's so much criminal activities throughout CARICOM and dealing CARICOM now amongst our young people. Some of our young people, let me tell you about that. Some of our young people. Because when they see those in quote-unquote high places do all kind of criminal acts and get away scot-free, they say, no, man, if them they could do that, why we can't do it the same? Beloved, this nonsense got to stop, man. Should be across the board. I don't care who you are. Whether you're prime minister, president, whatever your economic status is, you commit a crime, you get convicted, beloved, you should do whatsoever. If it's 6 months, a year, whatever, that's what time you should get. You want to appeal whatever the law said, or you could appeal and everything, that's on you and the individual, beloved brother. But no one shall escape because they have money, beloved, and because they are lawyer, because they are business people, they have so-called thing in society, so-called status in society. No, man. And then a poor person, financially poor person, ain't have that, ain't have no money to buy people. Beloved brother, they go to jail for the duration whatsoever. They can't even appeal most of the time, beloved, because they don't have the finances. Beloved, no, man, this thing got to stop and stop. No. Brother, I know someone else wants to speak. Keep up the great work, beloved brother. And let me say in closing, this coming Monday, Workers' Day, calling on all the workers, don't be persuaded by these political charlatans. They mean no good. Long gone are the days when the workers was first and foremost. Now It's just a jump and wine crap, beloved. And the workers must stand up. In Liamiga and Owali, when he used to be, we said the trend, we were trendsetters when it come to the labor movement, to the trade union movement. Look at what it is today. It's the worst in CARICOM, beloved brother. Almost all the unions are strong in CARICOM except those in Liamiga and Owali, beloved. And that must change and change now. Again, big up all the workers and workers. Unite and stand up for what is right. And don't be thing by no political party. Stand up for your rights. And stand up now. Beloved, thanks again for hearing me. Keep up the great works. Pan-Africanism will perish. One love, my beloved brother.
One love, my brother, and good to hear. Good to hear as well.
Anytime.
That's coming from New York. Natty Jen, or Rastaman, Black Conscious, Nabu from the US. My Straight Talk family, it's 17 past the 9 o'clock hour. We are entertaining your calls. We have raised one issue in relation to our observation in review tonight, and we've also raised our theme, you never miss the water, beg your pardon, until the well runs dry. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Hi. Yes, Brother Patches. I will try to get in as much as possible because I have a lot on my plate.
I know I'm a bit liberal, but in terms of how often you get in, I know I had a rule.
Well,
bear me out. I had a rule that we entertain two calls. I know I allowed my good friend Culture just the other day with 3 calls, but let's try and be reasonable. Remember, they call a lot of people tell me they can't get in, please. So you just got in a few minutes ago, so let's try to be as reasonable as possible. What's on your mind?
I am going to elaborate on the labor march that is yet to come. And in my view, and from my understanding back then, the labor society was actually designed for the labor workers. And it is two things where is conflicted. The labor march that is forecast to happen. This is not a political march. This is a march for people to express themselves in the way of fashion. So I don't know if anyone is confused in respect to that. But I think people should march for the fact of their rights, how the economy is going, and how the economy should be going. Not a political march. This is politically blind. It should be politically blind. So people, do not praise the Labour Party in that spirit. This march is not for the Labour Party. This is a march for the labor that people perform for their sweat. And by the sweat of your brow, you shall eat bread. To make it better, march for the better.
Okay.
So do not be confused. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's go back to the lines. Yes, caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Hello.
Yes, you're live, sir.
Hello, Mr. Patches.
How are you? Is this the Bible man?
Mr. Patches.
Yes, Mr. Bible man.
Hello, Mr. Patches.
How are you? How are you? We're hearing you, Mr. Bobby.
Yeah, bye.
Yes, we're hearing you. Go ahead.
Patches.
Listen to your telephone, forget your equipment. We are hearing you loud and clear. Go right ahead. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Yes, go ahead. We are hearing you loud and clear. Okay, I think we're going to have to take another call. Yes, Mr. Bible Man, go ahead. We're here. Yes, sir, we are hearing you. Go ahead.
The Bible Man.
Yes, go ahead. Okay. Bible Man perhaps not listening to this call. Let's take this other caller. Caller, I want to thank you for holding your live.
Yeah, good night, Mr. Straight Talk.
How are you, my dear brother?
I am good, man. And you?
I am peaceful.
Okay. First, who don't understand what Labor Day March should be? I ain't gonna waste a lot of time on that. Labor Day March means labor represents workers. Whether you're a fisherman, mountaineer, whatever you do, you're working. That is what the march is supposed to be about. But we have we have seen it being politicized all over all them years gone by. Anyway, me wasting a time on that. Now, Patches, you see why Peter Tosh got to sing a song, Equal Rights and Justice. And another song, he said he coming in hot, hot, hot. And everybody know the lyrics. Now, the gun in Nevis, what they catch the person red-handed with. I wonder if that was a carp gun or a water gun. And the one down here with the fellow, with the ex-policeman and the girl in the car, who get 3 years in jail. This down here is real gun and the one in here is a water gun or a carp gun. Where is the justice? That is not right. So whether it's the DPP or the Attorney General allow that to happen, both of them need to be fired. Fired, pitch out of the position. Literally, not physically. Because they are one-sided, they are biased, and what they are doing, they are encouraging other people to do the same thing and say, well, if them they could do that and get away, well, I could do this and get away. So when we see a lot of young people or whosoever, whether young or old or whatever, doing certain things, we got to look further before we look at what they're doing to see, well, then they take example from who. Let me come to this Attorney General here now. Patches, let me tell you something. I support in Nabo. Do not ease up with heat, because I know you are a great man. You're serious man with your work. You don't make a joke with your responsibilities. If it was the other way around and he did win you, brother, all the bank will go broke. Put him out alone, you will have to buy with your paper key. And I'm going to make sure I call you every day, to make sure that you ain't ease up and sympathize with him. Don't take no apology. Let him pay you what he owe you. Let him pay you. Because he is doing a lot of foolishness and wrong things. And he ain't going to pay you in no batches, no 3 batch. So pay you your money. Look how the court say he must pay you. So he ain't going to get away. And the Prime Minister need to tell him, step down. Step down. Because the Prime Minister is condoning wrong from that Attorney General man. And that is the reason why a lot of people now who supporting them and who voted for them crying out and bawling out and whisper within people's ear that they're doing a lot of stupidness and they get fed up with them. Big supporters of them. But anyway, I'm going to go until I come back with me to do. So it's to do a man tonight here. Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks for your contribution, my dear brother. We go straight back to the lines. Seem to have lost that caller. Yes, you seem to have lost that caller. Mr. Jamdown, boy, you don't expect Devon, the journalist at Win FM, to ask any question that will be upsetting to the Prime Minister and the Attorney General, reads this email. Remember, Garth is a big man at Win FM in terms of its operations and functionality. Jamdown, like you want to put Devon out of bread and can't give him biscuits. You see how he get patches and straight talk stopped one time at Win FM? Reads that email. Let's go to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller?
Good night. You can hear me?
Yes, we are hearing you loud and clear. And
how are you?
I am peaceful. And just before I forget, if you bear with me 1 second, someone mentioned that, not you. Someone mentioned the director of public prosecutions, or the acting director of public prosecutions, and what she did in terms of discontinuing the case is well within the parameters of the Constitution. But what's on your mind sounds like Alice in Wonderland.
Yes, good night. I hear you was in Mac Night, and you come to see me.
Are you in Mac Night?
You was in Mac Night. I hear somebody come and tell me.
Now that sounds like a once upon a time.
Huh?
That sounds like a once upon a time Nancy story.
Anyway, what I want to say, you hear?
Yes, my dear.
What I want to say. You listening?
Yes, I'm listening to you.
You listening me?
Always, always.
Yes, okay. The fixing Spot Street, when they finish, it would be like 10 projects they do. Don't matter. You did not do nothing for ungrateful Newtown. We will see what they will get. 2 terminal, all road bay, roads all around, and did not do nothing. What a shame. Like the ungrateful people. Our best Prime Minister, keep strong. When they come at you, remember, none will be like you. Mr. Labert, they know if their 500 take from them, will they go to march still and have bans? They get in the bans to show people. They show people that is a lot of people they will be got in, but don't worry with them. If they will go still to march after not getting 500, good night, get home straight. Get home good. Stay strong and get home safe.
Thank you very much.
Best Prime Minister, you is the best. None will be like you. Let it do all what they want to do. None like you. See you.
Have a good night, my dear lady. As it always sound like Alice in the Wonderland. Mr. Libert, greetings. Patches, detainees escape. Uncle Jeffrey went ballistic on Sunday, and the DPP pull a gun case. Just like Jesus and the criminal. Patch is a big friend of the man who can not balance the budget ever, was let go. He was found with a gun and ammo. He told them he got bigger news. He pointed them to an old house in Marshall's constituency, Ambingo. A gun that was stolen from a big man from TDC in Nevis is there. Another gun from a murder that is unsolved is there, along with other pieces. The DPP pulled the case now for him to do that. Patches, you and me know. The man who only paid his nanny social had to sign off on that too. Just like he does now pay the nanny social in advance. Outlaws they are. Patches, as the months roll on, we are now seeing what Hardhead Terrence meant by a new day and a better way. reads this email. Yes, the lines are open, my Straight Talk family. The numbers again, 663-6672 and or 646-829-6672. Dwyer Boy reads this email. Your messages to Dr. Jew are only passing through his ears. You campaigned for him vigorously to be Prime Minister. You praised him over Douglas higher than the sky. So what you expect Douglas is a senior minister in Jew's administration, and the things you are requesting Jew to do will not materialize with that email. You and Douglas, with this email, you and Douglas will never be friends again, no matter how much both of you hug, kiss, embrace, and shake hands in public. It's just meaningless and grandiloquent. Jew does not rule himself as long as Douglas is there. Remember when you were the Minister of National Security? Not even then you ruled yourself. You tried many times to deport persons and failed miserably. Remember at the time you couped Douglas while he was off island and deported an investor from Frigate Bay. As soon as Douglas returned, the man was back in St. Kitts, carrying on his business. He also retired a former commissioner of police, and Douglas brought him back forthwith, stating that he was one in charge and not you, which was very humiliating and embarrassing to you. Now you want you to remove some of the other lines and reserve parking spaces, but more and more are being created. The prison project that you and Mark so vociferously criticize Harris for is gradually developing. Why? Because Douglas doesn't say he's in charge and not you. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, I thank you for holding your live. Hello, caller.
Mr. Straight Talk.
How are you, sir?
Mr. Straight Talk.
Yes, my brother.
I'm good.
How art thou?
What can I say, man? So far, so good. All is well. It's good to hear you tonight.
Likewise.
Yeah. Mr. Straight Talk, you just have to do what you got to do. Like all of us are saying to you, I want you to hold up Mr. Strong. Do not give up, Mr. Straight Talk. You continue the fight. All over I go in St. Kitts, people just recognize who I am. And it's all because of you. So I want to let you know that you are doing a wonderful job. Do not give up. Understand? I was just passing today when a nice lady looked at me and I didn't even recognize who she is. But she let me know who she is. And that's when she told me, when am I going to get in touch with you? I said, Lord, something happened and I couldn't get in touch. But this lady was so nice, helped me to get in touch with you. So it just shows who God is. And that's a great blessing. Understand?
Yes,
so I want you to keep up the fight. Keep up the fight, Mr. Straight Talk. And we're going to get in touch. We're going to do what we got to do. I just want to give condolences to my wonderful sisters there, Kea and Shomel, Flaretta and Kathy and Simone and Bona. You do the best. I'll see you guys tomorrow. All is well. And we're going to see you, Mr. Straight Talk, when I see you. Be good. Talk to you again.
Be good. See you when I see you, my brother. Good to hear your voice as well. And good to know that we have...
Yes, we are in St. Kitts together.
We have now connected, yes.
Yes.
So we break bread.
So we're going to get jumped this weekend.
We'll break bread, my brother. Have a good night.
Yes. See you when I see you. Be good.
See you when I see you as well, my brother. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, I want to thank you for holding you alive, caller. Hello, caller.
Good night, Patrick. Good night.
How are you, Mr. Politics?
Yeah, this is Mr. Politics here.
Time.
Want to make my contribution.
Always.
On our historical. I'm not too bad. I'm here hanging in as usual. I try to stay much away from the politics, because.
But that's your name. That's your name.
Yes, that's my name, and I'm going to remember it.
Yeah.
Now, Patches, first, I always want to thank God for the Federation of St. Nevis, a country we are born into and live into. And if I can reach out to others, especially who can help themselves, I will help them. That's me. I help the schools. I help different area with little money I make. Because Patches, coming a millionaire is one thing. Getting a big mansion is one thing. But when we die, we ain't got nothing to work with. You understand? We can't work with it. Now, Patches, I want to talk about the march. Patches, the march is a workers' labor day march. People go out and march. But everybody know the march comes from the labor party, the labor movement at them time. And they keep it like that for years. But Patches, I believe that they come so far from independent to 40-something years independent to now. And I believe that we should turn away from the blind culture of politics. Because this country is us. And it's all about us. Because any government gets in and they fail, the country fail. Patches, it's time enough now that the workers go out and march. And don't go out and march for a party. You go out and march because it's a workers' right march. That is your right to go out and march. That is the day. The holiday specifically remain for the workers of the country. But Patches is a political march. And the politicians them got the political because Patches, you know what we like to see? That when they got the labor march, the workers march, maybe whatever you want to call it, the leaders of the prime ministers, the leaders of the country, from St. Nevis, go out and march with the workers. And everybody say something. Not one political party there and motivating the people them because they want to show the crowd that the people are labor and everything are the people of PAM, are the people of PLP, are the people of system or whatever. We go out and we show the people, the workers' rights, go out and show that there is the workers of the federation and they got the rights to go out and march because that is the right. You understand? But we ain't up to there I hear Carla saying that the march is a political march and the march is by the Labour Party. Right? But it's time enough now we change this thing. We're a small country. It's time enough we change this thing. Because as far as I can tell, the workers ain't have no right. Whether we got union or not, we ain't have no right. I believe the union by itself and the party by itself. You know? And if that happen like that, I believe that the people of this federation will get representation. They're not going to call no party, they're not going to call nobody, they're not going to call no business places. Because a lot of these business places involved with government and the union involved with the government. And by that, they're not going to representation like that. But if the people as a body, you know, this side they want that. They want themselves go out with the leader of the union. How much union? You got teachers union, you got police union. All the union come out and that there. And let the people them show that workers solidarity right in a march and stop making it political. That's my thing tonight. I love my country and I want to see my country do well. I want to see my people do well. No matter who government is, I love to see my people do well. Patches, you have a wonderful night. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless you.
God bless you as well, my dear brother. And we all want to see our country do well, I'm sure. And we must take it in stride. We all must be able to say what we feel and say it objectively. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller.
Good evening. Good evening, Patrick.
Good evening.
You know, you have. Good evening, Patrick.
Good evening, my dear.
Yes, I'm saying that you're talking about Jeffrey's degree. What degree do you have? You should have been locked up before. You should have been
lady. Before you continue, right? You came here on the program before. You came here on the program before and you disrespected the former Prime Minister, and you were rather libelous, right? And you believe you can hide behind your phone because you're in St. Martin, but I know who you are. Trust me, I know who you are, but I'm really not going to tolerate your behavior on this program, right? If you want to say something, be rational. You can say it as hard and harsh as you want to, right? But I don't want you coming on the program and fabricating and defaming anyone, including me. So, yes, you are calling from St. Martin, and you feel you can stay in St. Martin and say as you like, but not on this Straight Talk program. So have yourself a wonderful night, and I will entertain you sometime again. But you have to raise your level of discourse, because that's what we want. We raise the level of national discourse, and I must alert you, as I alert everyone, of your responsibilities as well as an individual. Let's go back to the lines. Caller, you're live. Hello, caller. Are you there, caller? Hello.
Good evening.
Oh, how are you, my dear? Good evening. How about thou? Hello?
How are you doing?
I am peaceful. Yourself? I'm looking at the dimples, you know. Just recognize the voice. How about thou? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. You're breaking up somewhat. Can you say? Oh, I'm afraid we lost that caller. I'm afraid, my dear dimple lady, we lost you. Try getting back, for something seems to be wrong with the call. Mr. Andrew Hewitt of Freedom Radio reads this email. This afternoon I find that you acted very biased towards a caller. I'm referring to the gentleman who called into your program and referred to one of your colleagues as ugly. You immediately shut him off, followed by a serious warning that you're not going down that road. You said that you will not tolerate that kind of behavior from him, to be calling anyone ugly on this program. I find you to be a hypocrite, Andre, because you tolerated a certain individual for months, referring to Dr. Harris, the Prime Minister, over and over, calling him a big stone, and you never once censored him. Even the said ugly guy, you gave him carte blanche authority to disrespect Harris. And oh Lord, don't talk about patches. And you remain silent. So what is the difference between ugliness and a big stone, Andre? But I understand your circumstances. You are living and working in fear because you're not from here and is working for a political character that if you happen to slip, you will slide straight through the door. Even some of the hard questions you will ask Mark Brantley, you dare not ask Dr. Jew at his press conference, and everyone knows that you are mortally afraid of your colleague. So I pity you, but I don't think that journalism is for you because you are underperforming in your duties, and what is expected of you is very disappointing. Caller, thank you for holding your live. It's 15 before 10 o'clock. Hello, caller?
Guy, you give him up.
Hello? I seem to be getting a little mixed up with these callers. Let's take this email then, my Stray Dog family. Good night, Patches. I listened to your thesis tonight. Why do you continue to protect and defend Timothy Harris? Of course, it's my right. You are entitled to defend who you want to defend. He was the one who caused the Team Unity government to fall apart and destroyed so many persons' lives. You are so correct. Sean Richards would have been such a great prime minister instead of this idiot Drew we now have to tolerate. It was power-hungry Harris who was imposing himself to go for a third term, and that was the main matter at hand that destroyed everything. That's your view, my Street Dog family, and you are entitled to that view. Total shame is this email. Good night, Patches. Thanks for being the voice of the people. My question is, where are we heading? Where are we heading? The food voucher program that many people looked forward to has not been paid for the year to date. Will people hear that it is a short-term program too? Or is the minister waiting to say that the peers tell him what the peers tell him to say? Poor minister, he needs to take off his clown suit. Patches, I now understand that the ministers of governments are now adding names of persons to the PAP list who would have campaigned for them, while poor people who qualified are being denied the benefit. These self-serving people have to go. Nothing ado. Reads that email. Thank you for holding, caller. You're live. Hello, caller. Hello? Seem to be having some difficulty. Caller, you live? Hello, caller. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. Let's take this email. Patches, the female caller who lives in St. Martin is right here in St. Kitts presently. She's staying up Limekeel with Mr. Crook. Crook is a boyfriend and she has a husband. We don't want to go there. My Straight Dog family. Yes, I guess she is entitled to do what she likes. But my Straight Dog family, as it's 12 before 10 o'clock, you may have joined me somewhat late. I raised an issue of the constitutional authority of the Attorney General and of the acting deputy, the acting, beg your pardon, director of public prosecution, Greatest Gordon Hazel, and her actions to discontinue a serious matter which many police officers are calling a hard slap in the face of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis police force. This young man, or this individual, I should say, was caught red-handed with a gun in Gingerland, in Nevis. He was charged, arrested, charged, went to court, and the magistrate remanded him to a magistrate's prison. His lawyer appealed, and the executive, or the Eastern Caribbean Supreme Court judge, denied bail. Just last week, we mentioned, it was reported on ZLZ television that this individual was sentenced, an ex-police was sentenced to 3 years in prison.
Cillian Phipps and Tariq Jones have been convicted for the possession of firearm and possession of ammunition on April 17, 2023. Both have been sentenced to serve 3 years in His Majesty's prison, on each charge with their sentences to set to one concurrently. The conviction stems from a gun find in October 2021. During a security check at the entrance of Club Dubai, a night spot in Bastille on October 22nd, a Beretta PX4 Storm pistol and several rounds of 9mm ammunition were found in Phipps's bag. She was taken into police custody along with Jones. Phipps was charged on October 26th and Jones was charged on October 28th, as he was a police officer at the time, and the matter was referred to the Director of Public Prosecutions for advice. They were both remanded to prison.
And this we raise in the context of the comment from Prime Minister, or the Prime Minister of Barbados, May Motley, who at the crime symposium in Trinidad recommended that we rotate the judges.
It's the only pillar that has come in the last 20 years to the revised Treaty of Chagaramas, the security. But we have not followed through on the functional day-to-day cooperation that can make the difference there. And on the matter of law and order, the judges, we need to start rotating the use of judges and magistrates in the region to ensure that there is not the familiarity with counsel and other circumstances and the things that people take for granted.
And we ask, what about DPPs? Should we amend the Constitution to really unfettered access? Yes, caller. Hello, caller. Yes, my lord. Are you there?
Good night, and how are you?
I am peaceful. Yourself?
About a long time I'm trying to get you for the longest while.
I realized, but we were hearing you, but you obviously weren't hearing us or hearing me. But you are live and the whole world is listening to you. What's on your mind?
Okay. Well, listen here. I call you on your telephone, but you don't answer me.
Which phone? My personal phone?
Well, the Bible says in Isaiah 54 and verse 17, no weapon that form against thee shall prosper.
None.
And every that rise up against thee in judgment shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servant of the Lord, and their rightness is of me, says the Lord. That is, Jesus is coming soon. Who want play dodging hope? Let it go ahead, play dodging hope. Because when Jesus come, we are no, you go there and tell yourself, if they will know, it's too late. The word of God said, be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatsoever man soweth,
shall he reap?
He shall also reap. And my last passage scripture, Psalm 37 verse 25. I was young, now I'm old. I neither see the righteous forsaken, nor seed begging bread. Mr. Patrick, I am leaning on the Lord, and the Lord is going to take me through this pilgrim pathway. Good night, Mr. Patrick, and have a pleasant night. Take care of yourself, Mr. Patrick, and the Lord will take care of you. Good night, bye.
Good night, my dear brother, John the Bible man. I haven't heard you for some time. It's really so refreshing to hear you, Mr. Bible man. And in fact, called via WhatsApp, which is a good sign that you are up to date with the technology. Dear Patches, why is the country so hard? Everybody balling. Labour, PAM, PLP, NRP, CCM. So many people can't eat and feed their children. So many people cannot pay their bills. The country money running down. They are going all around the world. Do you think that only his friends and those who went to school with him supposed to have money in their pockets? Poor people who went to vote for Labour are the brokest people in the country. As a Labour woman who they throw off a pap, I feel so ashamed to tell my children I'm not getting the $500 anymore. They don't want to give me $500 because I am poor, but $10,000 every month for all the old advisors and people like Big Lies, who is not a Labour but singing for his supper. When will we learn that we only vote for some people to eat steak and the rest of us to suck salt? Never again. Only those who get their big money a month time supposed to eat. Reads this email. At 4 before the 10 o'clock hour, my Straight Dog family, as we wind down. And as I said from the introduction, I am almost certain that we all are familiar with the old but true saying, you never miss the water until the well runs dry. Let me take this call. Caller, you live. Hello, caller. Hello, caller. It's, as I said, 3 before the 10 o'clock hour. You never miss the water until the well runs dry. And that's the title of my short thesis I presented tonight. Because everywhere I go within the Federation, everyone is mumbling, many are grumbling. My Straight Dog family, about the performance or lack thereof by the current Labour administration, headed in particular by its leader, Drew. The wrongful interference with the administration of justice is my last email I'll read. The coming to the rescue, as described, is not merely arbitrary, but it is atrocious. But as we wind down, my Straight Dog family, because my time is surely running out, there's so much that we took for granted over the last 7 months. Our health, our safety, and security, especially our social, physical, and societal well-being. We took certain things and certain people for granted and did not realize their importance and how much we needed them until they were there no longer. My Straight Dog family, our country's social, infrastructural, and political development can all be measured in different ways. Physical factors such as the climate and human factors such as the economy and social discontent can influence how quickly or well a country develops. My Straight Dog family. And the current leader made this promise which he has to date not delivered.
For a better economy and jobs, you chose the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. For better health care, housing and social protection, you chose the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. For better education, sports and entertainment, you chose the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. For a better environment and food security, you chose the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. For better government and governance, you chose the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. We campaigned on that platform. You listened. You examined us. You voted for us. We are ready to deliver on our promises. We are your humble and willing servants.
That was the expectation of many. But we are all disappointed. There's something in the air we call buyer's remorse. As most people are expressing a profound sense of regret after having voted for the Jew Labour administration. They continue to fool us, my straight dog family. Whereas social sustainability and inclusion were the order of the day under the Team Unity administration, which addressed the long-standing barriers to development under the previous Douglas administration. Economic and environmental sustainability was critical for poverty reduction and shared prosperity. On the contrary, look at what Drew has done to the poor people in this country in the last 6-9 months. We examined what he did with PAP, which he promised to upgrade. The mending or upgrade of the PAP, according to him, was a process of transitioning the program. And as part of that transition, it included a condition whereby it has become a short-term cash transfer social assistance program with the understanding that you will only benefit from the program for 6 months. A Straight Dog family, examine what Drew and his peers, Naheem Hazel, did so far with the Alternative Lifestyle Program. For the past 9 months, it's been revamped. Look at STEP. People have been given the runaround since the Drew Labour administration got into office. You heard the cry of the poor lady and many others, and instead of finding resolution, Jeffrey, in his pretty suit, tried to embarrass the poor lady at the Labour public meeting. What he demonstrated was what we call classic embodiment of power, ignorance, and arrogance for a citizen who all she asked for was a job. A job. But my Straight Dog family is about refusing to accept that people who live in poverty will always be poor. It is about helping people so that they can move forward on their path to self-sufficiency. But we do find leaders, especially in our small countries, small and developing countries, who are prepared to place too much faith in the hired economists from the World Bank, the Organization of Economic Development, the OECD, which in fact is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, and as well the IMF. We place too much faith in their economists, my Straight Dog family. Many fall for a statistic with a big name, international institution attached to it, but fail to accept that it should just get as much scrutiny as any other statistic, my Straight Dog family.
Over the years, despite a number of bumps and hurdles, the Federation has steadily grown and developed, raising the standard of living for thousands of its people. World Bank statistics show that among the 15 Caribbean countries which make up the Caribbean community and common market, St. Kitts and Nevis has the second highest per capita income. At over US $18,000 per annum, it is second only to the Bahamas and classified in the high income bracket. It is also classified by the United Nations in its Human Development Report as having high human development.
My Straight Talk family, small island nations like St. Kitts and Nevis have repeatedly said that traditional measures of development insufficiently capture their vulnerabilities. Gross national income per capita measures the income of a country, but that does not tell us how much it costs to handle major threats like catastrophic sudden weather events or the cost of servicing old debts. And since gross national income is the primary measurement for the allocation of concessional financing for developing countries, it is the wrong tool for the job. A multi-dimensional vulnerability index that has the potential to ensure truly inclusive, sustainable development is what we should be promoting. Because of their vulnerability, it is often that the small island development states who led the global conversation on the climate crisis and sustainable development. For 3 decades, SIDS have been leading calls for the formulation of a form of measurement that truly recognizes ecological and economic vulnerability. The United Nations is presently working with SIDS on the development and implementation of a multi-dimensional vulnerability index. GNI, old traditional measure, Moscow, and MVI with global buy-in will give us more data and a better understanding of the climate puzzle we are all scrambling to solve. But that was the academic part of it, my Straight Talk family. Because the reality in St. Kitts and Nevis is the gap between the haves and the have-nots. And that gap is widening. Social assistance under the Jew Labor Administration is dwindling. Public health is suddenly deteriorating. The cost of living is increasing. With the increasing cost of living and inflation, current wages are not enough for employers to live on comfortably. No jobs are being created and no new money has been put into the economy. The failure of Dr. Drew to pass minimum wage and cost of living legislation, as promised, has meant real, tangible harm to Kittitians and Nevisians. We should not celebrate the Labour Party come Monday. We need to celebrate the achievement, if any, of the workers. What have they delivered is the question we ask. He promised investors Where are the investors, Dr. Joe? Where are them?
It's quite interesting that after the elections, a number of investors came forward. And they said, Dr. Joe, we had been waiting to invest in St. Kitts and Nevis. And they said, why you didn't do it then? And they said they couldn't do it under the last administration.
Where are the investors? Always fabricating. But crime and violence are on the rise under the Jew Labor Administration. And my Straight Dog family, what has happened just 2 days ago when the acting DPP discontinued that case with the guns that were found in the vehicle of that individual in Nevis, is not good for the police, not good for crime fighting. People have the money in their pockets. How is it under Timothy Harris, everyone had money? How did he get to stimulate the economy so easily with such regularity? Are questions being asked daily. Not go on in the country under Labour. Everybody is saying the same thing. Some want to take back their ex, according to that lady who I met today. But that's the familiar cry all over. And all I can say, my Straight Dog family, is you never miss the water till the well runs dry. That's my story tonight, and I am not going to change it. I want to thank you. First of all, let me thank Almighty God for guiding my conversation tonight. And as always, please remember, come Monday, we're going to take a break from Straight Talk and celebrate with the workers. It's Workers' Day. So there'll be no Straight Talk until next week, Thursday. Please tell the world about that. I want to thank you, my Straight Talk family, those who called, those who sent emails, and those who just listen on social media. Remember, all of you are the ones who make Straight Talk, and for that reason, I say a big, big thank you. I am Ian Patrick Liban, and God's will, we will connect next week, Thursday, for another edition of Straight Talk. Until that time, be good to yourselves and to all whom you meet. And remember that whatever your mind conceives, that you will achieve. But first of all, you got to believe. So when you wake in the morning, thank God for the morning light. Thank Him for taking you through the night. My Straight Talk family, keep moving on. Bye-bye. Until we connect on Thursday next. I think that's the 4th. Be good to yourselves. Have yourself a wonderful weekend. It's a holiday weekend. Do what you want to do in moderation. Bye-bye. Keep moving on.
When I wake in the morning, I thank God for the morning light. Give Him thanks and praises for taking me safely through the night. For the rest of food and loving care, and for my mother's breath of life that's got me here. So whatever my mind conceives that I will achieve, you better believe, because I do the things I should, be to my brethren kind and good, the best I could. So I'll keep moving on, I won't stop now. I'll keep moving on till I reach the top somehow. Down on my knees, to the Lord I kneel and pray, with my heart and soul, beg Him to take me through each day. My God,